And one of the malachas you're not allowed to do on Shabbos is the malacha of lush. The malacha of lush is mixing, kneading, taking small little particles, adding a liquid to it until you form a dough out of it, a dough-like substance. And where was it done in the Mishkan? This is machlekes is where you learn out from the Mishkan. Either when they had to make the dye to make the dyes for the parechas, and they had to make the iriyas in the Mishkan. They had to dye the colors. In order to do that, they had to put certain spices and different ingredients into the water. And another opinion learns out that we learn out from the Lachem Hapanim. Once the Mishkan was built, not from the building of the Mishkan, once it was built, in order to make the process of Lachem Hapanim, they would take flour and they would make a dough. So that's the makkah of the malacha. And over this there's a big machlekes about what is the malacha of kneading. Is it the way we usually translate kneading? Is that it's not just kneading, is usually not just pouring in the water, it's the mixing. After you pour in the water, you mix it around until it becomes one solid dough. That's one opinion. Another opinion is that even before you mix it, just from the second you pour it in the water, you're already chayiv on the ism and atayra.
In other words, if I have a bucket with flour over here, and I took a cup of water and put it inside, I'm chayiv.
Yes, you already did the malacha. Sorry, you already did the malacha of lush.
Without mixing it.
Even without mixing it, yeah.
Okay.
So, what's the halacha? So, l'chatchila or machmir to make sure to avoid both of them. Or machmir to avoid both of them. Side putting in the water and side mixing it. And b'shasat chak, I'll see soon. In some cases, we could be making. So, we'll start off with the first Ma'ar Mafin. Al Tareb and Simin Shin Chaf Aleph. So first, he brings you the shitta which is lenient. According to the shitta that is lenient, you are allowed to in what way are you allowed to make a dough-like substance on Shabbos? So if you have a few conditions, first of all, Alter Rebbe says it's a lav bar gibel, meaning flour is a bar gibel. What happens when you mix flour with water? The flour it dissolves, and all the pieces, all the particles, bind with each other to form one solid piece. It forms a dough. Yeah, it becomes one solid dough, and you can't tell the difference. It became one solid piece. That's called bar gibel. So that's the issue. And that would be an issue unless you make it a very water-like substance. We'll see soon. But what if you want to make a thicker dough? Like let's say a tuna salad or egg salad.
Baby food on Shabbos. You talk about baby food on Shabbos. You take powder, you put some hot water and mix it.
So if it's becoming like a thick
that's
dough,
what you do.
but it's watery. It's very loose.
But it's like a dough.
It spills. You could spill it. It's not thick like a dough. It's very. You make it on Shabbos. You make it watery. It'll be an issue to make it thick. So what if you want to make it, or what if you need to make something? If you want to make something thick, like let's say tuna or egg salad, so it has to be, first of all, it has to be lav bar gibel, meaning that the pieces don't combine with each other, right? Like
meaning if I take tuna and mayonnaise
together, yeah. So it doesn't. The pieces of tuna don't attach to each other and become one solid piece. It's all a bunch of little pieces, and the mayonnaise is keeping it stuck together.
Right.
So that's called lav bar gibel. The same thing with egg salad. The egg piece, when you crush the eggs, it doesn't become one solid mush. Just the mayonnaise you put in there is keeping it stuck together. That's called lav bar gibel. So something which is lav bar gibel, which you could make on Shabbos, on condition that you mix it in an unusual manner. You mix it in an unusual way. This is the lenient opinion. We'll read it inside in the first Ma'ar Makim, number 1. Shulchan Alter Rebbe says in Sif Tazayin, Halosh hu mi'avis melochis, ve'ini chayiv b'nesinas hamayim asecha kemach levad. You're not chayiv for just pouring in the water. Ela ad she'yigav l'kadarke b'chil, until you mix it the way you normally do during the week. And
it's not chayiv. Just putting the
this is the first. This is a lenient opinion.
Right.
And ואין המגבל חייב אלא בדברים שהם בני גיבול כגון קמח או עופר לתיצ'ל דימן. And also you're not chayiv only if it's something that dissolves and becomes one solid piece. like flour or dirt when you're making, you're trying to make a cement or something. If you have taking ashes or thick pieces of sand, umurson, and a part of the grain they're used to, they feed the animals, that in the kemach kolni and roasted flour and roasted flour made from roasted kernels. Okay, so behem, it's not a bar gibel. These types of flours don't bind with each other well. And you're a potter for doing it on Shabbos. I will also say from the gabel kemach koli harbe, so you're not allowed to do a lot of it altogether. Shema yavi legabel kemach sheini koli v'yizchai, because you might come to do wash with regular flour. But doing it in an unusual manner is mutter. One of the examples I'll gives over here is doing it in small amounts. So in a small amount, usually you would make a bowl full of tuna or egg salad. So you do a lesser, you do a half a bowl at a time. You do, instead of mixing all the tuna, all the eggs, you only do a half of it at a time.
That's already a shinoi. You do half at a time.
So that's a shinoi. That's a shinoi, yeah. You're doing it unusual way.
The shinoi is
no chash that you're going to do with the regular flour,
because you're doing an unusual way. That reminds you, the fact that you're not doing it the regular way, you're remembering that lush is also on Shabbos.
So to make egg salad on Shabbos is no problem.
According to this opinion, the lenient opinion.
Right.
Soon we're going to say you normally were machmir. So according to the lenient opinion, this is how the mechaber, the Shulchan Aruch paskins, the mechaber, that is fine.
As long as you do it with the shinoi, in other words, not the same amount.
First of all, it's lavar gibel, right? It's not a flour-like substance that forms a solid dough. And it's something like, for example, tuna and egg salad, right? It doesn't bind with each other well, like flour and water does. And also, you do it in an unusual way. This is the lenient opinion. Now, then Alter brings the opinion that's machmir. In the second paragraph, yesh chalkin al kol zeh. It doesn't make a difference whether it's a bar gibel like flour, or it's lav bar gibel like tuna or egg salad. As long as you have small pieces over there and you pour in water, you're chayiv right away as soon as you pour it in the water. Even though you didn't mix at all, pouring in the water, you already did the melacha of gibel, of wash, just pouring it in.
But tuna, you put mayo. Mayo is not water. It's a thicker liquid.
Right.
So it's not...
But once... some people bring up this point, that is thicker. But once you mix it in, So according to this opinion, just pouring something in, you're already doing the melacha of lush. So the issue is that we're to do a shinoi, to do lush with a shinoi only helps if it's issa d'rabbanan. According to this opinion, just pouring in the water, you're already doing issa d'raisa.
No matter what you do, it's not good.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? So what's the issa? What could you do? So there's only according to this shit, there's two eitzes. Elin kena gibel rach, unless it's a soft batter. If it's soft, it's not dough. It's something that spills. It's like let's say like honey. It's something flowy. Such a thing, the Isser is only midrabanan. In this case, we will be matter through a shinoi, as already explained. And over here, it doesn't make a difference, even if it's flour. As long as it's soft, it's a soft batter. It's fine. So therefore, it's also so you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. Yes, you're not. So according to this shitta, so making tuna egg salad would be issue. According to this shitta, mixing the tuna into egg salad could be a sudaraisa. According to the shitta. So what's the itzos? How could you? So what's the itzos? What could he do to be yisel l'chol? So one thing we said before already, that if it's a soft batter, so for example like baby cereal, making baby cereal, if it's liquidy that it'll spill from one side to the other. So it's not like a dough. So that's okay. If you do it with a shinui, you need to have two shinui. One shinui is when you pour in the water, you have to change the order of how you pour it in. Normally, you pour it in the water first. You put it in the cereal first. If you do the other, if you normally put it in the cereal first, you should put it the other way around. So you change the order of how you do it. And the second shinui you need is the way you mix it. You do a shinui also in the way you mix it. You mix it in an unusual manner. So this is the Rama says this is how we're noig. We're machmir that we don't, that if it's a thick batter, we don't do it on Shabbos. If it's thick, and we don't do it on Shabbos. So that's the halach over there. When could we be makel? Right, we said before there's some shitta. So when could we be makel on the shitta which is lenient to make this on Shabbos? So the Taz says that b'shas adchak, he says certain salads. Taz asked that they have a minhag that they would make a salad with onions, with onions, with radish and cucumbers.
It's not in cucumber.
Yeah, radish and cucumbers, and they would cut up very thick, and they would pour vinegar on it. Very thin, and they would pour vinegar on it. So yeah, there's a shay l'cheda. How could they do that? L'cheda is also according to the shita.
What do you do? Should be also
because it's lush. You're pouring according to the shita, which is machmir. Pouring the liquid.
Everything over there is separate. Nothing is.
So I guess you must be there cutting into very thin pieces, and it would stick together from pouring the water, from pouring the vinegar on it.
You're talking about cucumber salad?
Cucumber and radish. That's how they will cut it very thin, and they will pour vinegar on it.
So the churah should be.
It should be also. So he says the reason we're over here, and according to that shit, in the Ikar Din, it says he says since the salad you can't make it before Shabbos. This salad, if you make it before Shabbos, by the time you're ready to eat it on Shabbos, it's not going to taste good anymore.
They didn't have refrigerators.
Yeah, they didn't have refrigerators.
We could do.
They didn't have refrigerators. So therefore, our mekel to make it on Shabbos. The Ikar Adin will rely on the mekel on the shit which is mekel. They allowed to do it. This is what the Taz says in the second Maramachim. He says in Kain Tzorechiyum. The Tzorechiyum b'mash noigim lasis v'Shabbos tznoim dakim kishuim shekein ugerkes. They make a salad with thin pieces of radish together with thin pieces of cucumbers. Dak. The sheichin achar zeh chemitz haseichin, and they pour vinegar into it. Vein eisen shim shinui, and they don't do it in any unusual. They don't do any shinui. Venira dekam nehechmiru kamei v'chrein. Kim the Efshalasi Zeb Erev Shabbos. We're not machmer like Chayin, where we say you shouldn't pour the vinegar onto it before Shabbos. Why? Since it's impossible, the skalkal time shall slain, it won't taste good anymore. Al Kenli Hitzrichu Shinui, Kivin the Ikar Siyasi B'Shabbos of Kua, Ikar Hilchasal the Kaiman Kravesi Rav Yehuda. Therefore, we left like the Ikar Adin that it's fine, or that pouring in liquid is not considered lush, it's only the mixing. And so b'shas has certain salads you can't make before Shabbos. You could be makel if you can't do it before Shabbos. So it's a certain sefer he's talking about making the egg salad on Shabbos. He says l'chida when making egg salad and tuna salad l'chida. Nowadays we have refrigerators. L'chida can make it before Shabbos. So he says he tested it out and it didn't taste as good. The tuna salad he made.
Who said that?
Shabbos Kehilchos.
Shabbos
Kehilchos.
Yeah.
Shabbos Kehilchos.
Shabbos Farkash.
Oh, Shabbos Kehilchos.
Shabbos
Not the book Shmir Shabbos Kehilchos.
Yeah, not Shabbos Kehilchos.
Oh, that's a different.
So he said he tested it out. It's not the same. So yes, if someone Taki can't eat the tuna salad from before Shabbos, it tastes too bad for him. So yes, I guess we could
do it.
So someone who has such a high standard of tuna salad and egg salad, and
they sell it in containers. You know, you go to the store, you buy you have like 10 different companies that sell you the tuna ready. Like 2-3 days before Shabbos.
So you put enough mayonnaise on, Shane.
They do something to keep it fresh.
Yeah, the question is, if I have the tuna ready on Friday, I eat it Shabbos. When I open the container, I need it a little bit thinner, too thick. I can put a little of my mayonnaise and mix it up. It's already ready.
But it's not stuck together when you put in.
The mayonnaise is the one that make it together, right?
You're saying you bought ready-made.
Ready-made with mayonnaise.
Ah.
Ready. Now, when I open the container, I didn't like the look. I like it more lighter. So I take 2 spoons of mayonnaise, put in, mix it up, make it more lighter.
That will be okay. It's
think
already
it's
mixed
okay.
together. You're just making it thinner. Yeah,
Should be
that will be
okay.
okay. That should be okay.
Now, let's say a person, he forgot to do it before Shabbos and put it in the refrigerator. Would that be considered Shas and Chag?
So that would also. I'm saying if Shabbos comes in, you forgot to make the tuna egg salad before Shabbos, and now what are you going to eat? What are you going to serve? So that's also that's another example of a Shas and Chag. Shas and Chag, you can make it on Shabbos.
But picino.
With the shino, yeah. With the shino, you mix it in the usual way.
Yeah.
But there's one case which you have to be very careful, which is also the choladeis. So choladeis is a deraisa. Even when you just pour in the water, right? We said you could be making l'shas and chag according to the shit that just pouring it is not the malacha lush. But the Rebbe brings down Snim and Shinmen that certain substances that there's some of them that once you pour in the water, you don't even need to mix it. Right away, it clings each other on its own. And it becomes like a dough. You don't need to stir it. Usually, when you pour water into flour, you need to mix it around. You need it to get it to stick. But if it's a type of substance that once you pour in the water automatically spreads to everything, and you don't even need to mix it. That's the issa deraisa l'chol. That's since in the third Ma'amalkim, number 3. If you put flax seeds or sesame seeds b'mayim in the case of him, he's chayiv mishum lush for mishum lush. Why mipnei shemisav yonitim zeh b'zeh, since they cling to each other and becomes a good. So you have to be careful. I'm not sure what things we have like this nowadays. Baby cereals, maybe. I'm not sure. I didn't experiment with too many
baby
things.
cereal it doesn't become what? It's just it became not so watery, but it's watery. It doesn't become hard like one bush.
Because you put in a lot of water. If you put in a little bit less water, and it will be thick.
You can eat it. You know, the whole purpose to feed it to the baby, they should be able to eat.
Yeah.
You need to make it.
So I'm not sure what would be a practical example of this din. So Al-Kwan and Asway, so l'chadchil or machmir, not to make any thick batters on Shabbos. If you make something, if it's something thin, like let's say like tchina, yeah, you want to make tchina with powder or however you make it. So if you put in a lot of water right away and it's liquidy, it's something you can pour it. It's not thick like hummus, so that's okay.
No, tchina is a problem.
If
With
it's
tchina, you get the sesame is too thick. You put it in the pot. You add up water, mix it up. No good. You add up more water and warm water and mix it up.
Right. So
it's the opposite.
No, but if you put it in right away, you have to put it in all right away.
You don't know how much water to put.
So you have to make. Okay, so if you know how much water to put, okay, so
you never know.
Okay,
I made a lot of tchina. You never know.
Okay, so if that's the case, you don't know how much water to put, so it'll be an issue. It could be that you're going to pour in water and it's going to end up being a thick gush, so that could be. It's a chashash deraisa. That would be an issue. If you know how much water to put and you're putting it in, you pour it in right away, and
But tchina is a one gush. When you put the water, you try to make it
a thin.
watery, not the opposite, not.
So how there are different kinds, no? It comes in
come like a heart,
Thick.
Thick.
Oh, it's a
So
thick
you have to add up water to make it watery, the opposite.
But
so
you don't know
you're
how much
breaking it
water
down.
to put. You
Right,
don't know how
exactly.
much
But,
water.
but the point is over there, you try not to make a mess.
so
you try to make it
exactly.
watery.
So you're making it watery. You're not making a thick thing. So you add how much water you think is going to be enough, and you're not. It's already stuck together. You're just thinning it out. Thinning it out. That's not lush. Lush is when you're making it stick together. Here you're not making it stick together. You're making it break apart. And so that's nice. So doing so, and you mix it with a shina, and then you're good. So what's an example of a shina, right? So usually when you do this, you're making a baby cereal, so you make it, it's soft, it's thin. So how can you mix it with a shina? So the first example, so in number 4, I brought down all the different shinuim. I don't know if I brought like around 7 or 8. So one we already saw before, the mutal legamdos hakoli ma'at ma'at. if you do a little by little, I mean, you're doing in smaller amounts than usual. Usually you do it all at once, so here you're doing only a part of
What
it.
happens if you do out of what? You put the water in first and then you add the cereal on top. Is that a shinoi?
So you need two
Usually people
shinui.
put the cereal in first and then they put the water after.
You need a shinui by both. You need a shinui in the way you put it in.
Oh, two shinoi?
Yeah, first of all, it needs to be soft, right? It needs to be a soft and liquidy. It can't be like a dough. And also you need to do it, then you need to do a shinui.
But if it's dry, it's... Wait, the baby cereal comes out of the box dry.
Right,
So-
but when you mix it, when you pour in the water, what type of texture is it? Are you putting in a lot, just a little bit of water that ends up being thick like like dough, or does it end up being very thin and creamy?
So what are you looking for though when you do that?
Right. So if it's a thick matter, that's an issue.
Oh.
We're machmir that we're only that it first of all should be thin, should be something that it could pour, and you have to do two shinui. A shinui in the way you pour in the water, you change the order, and also a shinui in how you mix it. You mix it in an unusual manner. So what's the example of mixing it in an unusual way? So in 4 we brought a bunch of examples. The first one is mutal legavos hakali ma'at ma'at. You do it in smaller, mix in smaller amounts than usual. And the second one, that if you don't mix it in circular motions, you do shasi va'idid. You do forwards and sideways, forwards and sideways. You don't do circular motions.
It's a tool. Tavar is a tool. Certain tool. What's tavar?
Not just a spoon or a stick. I think
It's a tool. Certain a tool.
it's a stick. Yeah, something they use in the kitchen. I'm not sure. Yes, as long as since you're not making circular motions, it's okay. The third sheen you can make is the kaf el biyad. You do it with your hand. Normally, you mix it with a spoon, so mix it with your finger.
Put gloves.
Yeah, with gloves.
Finger food.
So if you don't usually mix it with your hand, mixing it with your hand, that's also a sheen. The fourth shina we have is pouring it from one kli to another one. Pouring it from one kli to another one. Fifth shina we have is you hold the kli and you just shake it around. Shake it around to make it mix up inside. That's a fifth shina you can make. Fifth example. And there's a sixth one. Someone asked Rabbi Moshe if you normally mix it with a. What about if you're mixing it with the handle of the spoon, or you're mixing it with a knife? Is that also considered a shinui? So Moshe said it's pasha that it's a shinui. Number 5 in Igros Moshe Yerchaim Chelik Daled Siman Ein Daled by Melchus Losh. He asked him Heichel Devay Shinui Be'irvov. Whenever you need to mix it in a unusual manner, Irvov Besakin, mixing with a knife, Yadis Hakat, Yadis Hamazik, the handle of the spoon or a fork, Biyad, with your hand have a shinui. In Hod the Kata the Sakina Gavit Chino. Just like we find by the Melech of Teichin that if you want to do it with a shinui is mutter, and crushing something with the handle of a knife is a good enough shinui. So the same thing apply here. He says Pasha Shehu Shinui. Yeah, Mishnah says it's Pasha, that's fine.
Why said it Beyadit Hakaf or Beyadit Hamazleg? What's a Yadit? Yadit is...
A handle.
Yeah, but Mazleg has a handle and Kap a handle.
Now, instead of with
The opposite.
fork upside down.
Absolutely, that's
Like
what I'm
That's
saying.
what
The
he's
Shino.
talking about.
He's talking about
Yeah.
holding like this.
Yeah, Shino, yeah.
So that's for sure.
That's what he said. Yeah. And so those are all considered shinui. And
Pashut Shino.
so what's the definition of a blilo raka, of a sof matter that you're allowed to make? So in Shvis Shabbos in the 6th Maramachim he talks about it. So he says it's different than by Birchas Hanenin. Birchas Hanenin, when is something considered a liquid that you can make a shackle on it, and if it's something when they make a burn, if it's something you could drink, you make a shackle. If it's something out of the Chamisha Minim, if you can drink it shackle, if you can't drink it, then you make a burn minim zenis. He says over here it's different. Over here, even if you can't drink it, as long as it's not thick like a dough, it's still considered a soft batter. Number 6, he says the gavi bracha is kosher say this alev mevarich beir minim zenis. And the inim mevarich shackle near bidvari rakim hulashtia gmur only if it's mamish a drink. As long as it's not so hard that it forms one one gush like flour. Nikra b'lilasi rako, a soft batter. Ve'ein isur gibuli ela medivei seifin. And isur gibul is only midrabanan. So this is the definition of a blilo rako, a soft batter.
Midrabanan we mekel usually. Midrabanan we mekel.
Therefore,
almost in everything.
So that's why only if it's soft and it's liquidy, that's why I'm able to do it with a shina in an unusual way. If it's thick like a dough, then it could be isur deraisa. We won't be lenient with mixing it in an unusual way.
What does it mean? Ve'ein isur gibulei? What is that?
Ve'ein isur gibulei, the mitzvah, the isur gibul is only midrabanan.
What is gibulei?
Gibul is kneading,
Oh.
mixing liquid with smaller particles to make it like a dough. And so we mentioned before. So what's the ma'isa? So making egg salad and tuna salad on Shabbos, we said it's l'chatchila it's also because we're machmir that pouring in the liquid is a malacha lush. But then there was a shit that was makel. The first day the other day on the Shulchan Aruch said it's okay. L'chatchila or machmir. But Pale, everyone asks a question that is out there. It's already a minhag for generations by Gdei Yisrael that they would make egg salad on Shabbos. Sibul mit ayim. Yeah, they would have onion egg salad, and they did oil. They would put oil in it. So it's a shtickle different how they would do it. So the shaila is what's going on. How machiras a gibel it's pilosei of it's a thick matter. Why are they allowed to do it? So there's a whole everyone adayim. I think some people are trying to still make with it. So I was told that if you don't have the minhag, I'm saying chatchila is saying you don't do it. If you have that's a minhag in your mishpacha, so fine. So that's it. And so one of the tshuvas that I want to be lamas chus is ha'elef l'cha shleima, from Shleima Kluger. So he says two svaras l'hagol, and both of them are very mechudesh. But the pashtus aren't so accepted l'halacha. And first of all, he wants to say that the isser of lush is only if the liquid you're pouring in is one of the 7 mashkin. Yeah, cholov, dam, mayim, and vash, and
Not everybody to call a mashkin.
yeah, not all mashkin. So the way they would do it with they would use shuman avos. They would use chicken fat. They would use chicken
Avaz is
fat.
not chicken. Avaz is turkey.
Turkey.
Goose.
So they would use the shuman to do it. So he says that's not one of the 7. It's not one of the zayin mashkin.
It's not a liquid.
And the main word is no isur lush.
So to take Eretz Yisrael and Shabbos, use that kind of oil.
So most places don't hold like that, but that's his limit. That's his limit chus. So according to him, the same thing would apply to mayonnaise, right? It's made out of eggs, right? So he goes on. He said in number 7, he says,
But mayonnaise is not liquid. At
It's
all.
eggs with oil.
It's-
It's eggs with oil. Mayonnaise is eggs with oil. I'm just saying.
saying so oil would be a mashkin. What type of oil? Okay. So he goes number 7. He says shelasei in the tshuvas in Yerechayim in Kuflam Tes. Elef l'chol shleima. He says shelasei lama negin lahatir lachtich b'tzel dak. Probably able to cut up onions very thin. Blitin behem shuman. Kidei shiuchol loyach in order to salt it, and then they would mix it with shuman avos. So tshuva, he says, "Masha kosa prima godim who adin shuman avos." Prima godim tax says clear that fat that using shuman is sort of lush. It is considered mashke. So he says, "Ini muchrach." He says, "Lav dafke." He disagrees with the prima godim. He says, "Is that dafke something? It's not needs to be a real mashke, and a real mashke is only from the zayin mashkin. So shuman is not one of the zayin mashkin. So he argues with the prima godim, and he says it's, and therefore there's no isur lush. So agav, you see the Alter Rebbe holds klar nishta zeh. The Alter Rebbe says shar mei peiros. Oyechem mishar mashkin mei peiros. The Alter Rebbe says mei peiros is also considered mashkin in lush.
The the shuman, it's a chicken fat?
A chicken or a turkey?
No,
Yeah.
goose.
Yeah, but how,
Goose.
if you make
Or
tuna,
bars, or
how you
bars.
can add up, you make it fleshig?
Well, it's all right, but
a problem.
mayonnaise is also not. It's also not one of the zayin mashkin. He's talking about egg salad. He's not talking about tuna. So he goes on weiter. He has a second limud. He says, "Well, nearly the kivna havi beitzin im betzolim. It's onions with eggs. So v'hine bebeitzin v'ali leishayich gibel kivna havi gibuli karka." Which goes with Tuna Sadeshan. He makes a big chiddush. He says that it's not shaykh and loch of lush by something which is not geduli karka.
Who's this from Shlomo Kliger?
Yeah, where does he pull this out from?
So wait, so that means even if you put oil.
So according to that, even oil.
Because I know I'm by my cousin, the very Burma people. I see when I come Shabbos, they're making the eggs with the
Zwiebel.
With
maybe
oil.
they put on the side, but it's oil. I'm sure that I didn't see it, but I'm sure that's what they use when I eat it. It's not mayonnaise.
It also depends according to what type of oil. Canola oil, well, it's not considered mashkin, right? It's only shem and zayis.
I don't know what. Oh, you mean the only shemen that's a mash is shemen zayis? So shemen zayis is pretty rare. Most people don't use it.
Right? So
Shemen
according
zayis. I
to
mean, now it's in style of cooking, but we never used it.
It doesn't go with eggs. It
What?
doesn't go with eggs.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's probably they use some whatever oil. It's not olive oil.
So according
I'm
to-
sure they use oil.
It's expensive, olive oil.
So according to
It's
him,
not
so according, this is the limit chus of the elf Shlema, right? We saw from the Alter Rebbe and the Prima Gaon the hold like him in this. The second chiddush is that it's only by geduli karka. Where does he get this from? He pulled this out of the melach of teichen. Now, halacha we passing on that lagabe teichen, the melach of teichen, grinding, chopping things up very thinly. The melacha is only shaykh by something which is geduli karka. But chopping up eggs, eggs or tuna in very small pieces, it's not geduli karka. It doesn't grow from the ground. So for the melach of teichen, it doesn't apply over there. So he says, you see, he jumps and he says the same thing applies by lush. Lush is only shaykh by geduli karka.
But wait, but if we say that we're learning lush from the lechem hapanim,
Yeah.
so that's kemach, that's gedul karka, right? But you have to come on to toichen.
Why do you have to come on to teichen? I'm saying teichen is where you see the din, where you see such a din. What's the big chiddush is no one in Shulchan Aruch saying the whole shit by legabe melachas teichen. Shulchan Aruch says the din of geduli karka, and no one says such a thing legabe lush. After Yezer said it out, and Rosh Hashanah says such a word. Shem Kluger says such a word. Fine, that's where the two. So I'm saying the ikar word. Let's see what he says. He says v'inali the kivna havi. Yeah, the ikar word is what he ends up with. I mean, Hagen shall Yisrael teirahi keinu lefias night lefianis night v'arav v'nochim. His ikar verse is saying "Ma'am schus on the minhag." Yeah, the minhag was azay that people are being was the grace the Chashem mentioned we're doing this.
Because people do it, doesn't seem like they're not megabel.
So the shaila is what's the limit schus is limit schus. So he had his tool with his chusim. I'm saying you're not going to rely on. I'm saying lahalacha. You can't. It's not ungenun in these two limit chusim alone halacha that it's not shaykh gibel by these two things.
But people are doing it Shabbos.
Well, people are doing it. The shaila. So the shaila is what's the limit schus. So there are many limit chusim. Someone told me a word that someone to say that if you do it for oil doesn't make things stick together. It makes it slippery, and it's not. I never tried it. I never tried making egg salad like that with the oil, but it's not. The tack doesn't stick together. It's just it mixes around. And a little bit of that something which is cooked. If it's something which is cooked, maybe it's not shaykh lush. Mishnah Berurah brings up such a svara. It's derech achila, and. Saying also in Ikar Din, you realize and also even people do it. They always have the other shitta to be seimichan. You have the shitta that you add the first shitta, the shitta which is mekel, that you can do lush even if it's a thick batter as long as you do a shina. So according to this, you just do a shina and everything is okay. So the chatchila like that, but people who have that minhag, they have the minhag, they have to rely on. And. So someone asked. So you asked the shaila before. What about adding liquid to a batter on Shabbos? Let's say you already made the batter before Shabbos. You already made the tuna. You already made the egg salad before Shabbos, and you want to add a little more. Are you allowed to do that? So the Tuma Sadeshan says that you're allowed to. So in the 8th Maramokim, in the Kseis HaShulchan, Chaim brings down the Tuma Sadeshan. He says, Kosva Tuma Sadeshan, V'zel Sheina, V'nire, Da'afilim Nosan Behem Ma'at Mashke, Kemish Regin Laseis Ma'at Tipin. If someone just poured in a few drops of liquid into the into what the food he was making, he says he thinks the mahani midi. It's not considered as if you already made the batter before. When does it help that if you already poured in the liquid before Shabbos and on Shabbos then on Shabbos you're allowed to add more? That's if you put in enough mishum because it's as if you already made it. Whatever you do it, just pouring in a little bit of liquid is not good enough. So you need to pour in enough that it's already considered ready, and you're just adding more later. So how much is enough to be considered ready? So Chayinot Taiches in the second paragraph, he says, "V'nida the shir hamashke hu al kapanim kadesha kol hachardal yivla es hamashke." That in this case, he's talking about pouring liquid into mustard seeds. So pouring, he says, you have to pour enough water that all the mustard seeds is already wet from it. And you shouldn't have any dry pieces of mustard seeds without any liquid. If you take a dry spot left over, is it sort of lush? Fine. And other things he says, it has to be ready to eat the way it is. It wasn't ready to be eaten. It was Shabbos Meisavei Mashke Venase Roy Latibul, and now it's edible. Now you can eat it. Yesh Bei Mishum Lush. And the Baiter he says there's an issue. Kivin Shemachshir Latibul. Since now it became ready to eat, the Shira Hachiv Mishum Lisha Hu B'chol Davar Kedarke. It depends the Shira how much you need to mix in. However much, if it's not ready to eat, if you just put a tiny bit of mayonnaise and you can't serve it the way it is, you wouldn't serve such a thing, then it's an issue. You have to put enough mayonnaise that you would be able to serve it. And if you want to add a little bit more because you like it better with a little bit more, so that's fine. That's either. So the next thing is how big do the pieces, how small do the pieces that need to be in order to have an issue of lush? Saying you're making
not make shino. What's the smallest one?
That shouldn't be considered lush. You're making Israeli salad. Israeli salad, you're pouring oil on it. That's an issue of lush. Is that issue of lush? So the Ishal Avram. The Ishal Avram Butchacher, he says that if it's mamish small pieces, if it's larger pieces, you don't have the issue. You don't have the issue of lush. And the Ishal Avram is in the 9th Maramokim. Over here is talking about they had a minhag that they would make. They had a salad with onions and oil. So what's the limit? He says he says since they don't cut it so small, it's not small like kemach. Therefore, it's the Seder make it on Shabbos. Number 9, he says, Ulay mashana golitin b'psalim chatuchim dakis cut thin shemen shuman. How can you use such a thing? Hu mitam shemikol makim ein derech lisha v'gilu b'chatichis geheim she'ini dak me'in kemach dak. It's not similar to flour. It's larger pieces. So therefore, it's not shaykh the whole Isser of Lush. Whereas when it comes to chrein that they would grind it and it's similar to flour, there you have the issue. He says, so maybe in Taka, maybe by this onion salad, it's larger pieces, it's more lenient. And even if you have a small piece of small few crumbs that were Taka very small, since it's not nicker, it's okay. And then he goes on weiter. Here he goes on to the egg salad. He says that the egg salad he Taka have an issue. He says in Mikom Mokim, Kishedakin harbe, if the pieces are taka very thin, musuyomim gamkin, and you could see and you could recognize it. Im heimrak gamim heimrak miot in the hakal. Even if it's only a miot, you can't do it. Chim bepiruri beitzim bein hachatichis betzolim. So too the pieces of eggs that you have between the onions. Shachel meinasa me'elav kekemach. So the yolk gets very crummy and falls apart. You can't say even. So you could try to say this. You could say what's the heter to make the egg salad? That is large pieces. So the large pieces, so you can be careful with the white part not to crush it up too much. But with the yolk, it gets very crummy and it falls
so you
apart.
can't take a fork and smash it.
So the shayla is what's according to Shleima Kulger you could, right? According to Shleima Kulger. But the butcher is machmir with the egg salad.
There's a special tool to make egg salad, you know, to make
So that's the issue mishum utin the chel. Since it's
But nobody do it with the fork.
Use it l'chel, then you're not allowed to use it on Shabbos. Utensils that use it l'chel with mesher, the potato mesher that use it l'chel.
you can't use on Shabbos.
Right, that's
Yep.
what we're saying.
That's
So
misal.
we'll take a fork and do it, then you're allowed.
It's a shino.
Yeah. With the fork will be okay. And so what's the shear? How small is small? So how small is small? How big is big? That you don't have the issue of lush. So on the third page, and Shir Shas Kilchasa over there, he wants to say that the size of nuts, pouring honey on nuts, and pouring honey on nuts, he says that there's no issue of lush because they're larger pieces. He says mutar lishbei dvash al gabi agizim shleinim.
Oh, they're not even pieces. It's a whole.
Shleinim. Yeah, and in the Hara he says, "Mikivin shagizim hashleinim in dakim mitzad asman. They're not very thin. In kamishon lisho ki hadvash rak mechaber shagizim asher mitivli lechaber. It sticks together because this honey is sticky, but not because it's so small. Avalev livlo, but it doesn't mix it up that it becomes one gush. And what's his name in Sefer Chut Shani from Karelitz, Nissen Karelitz. So he wants to say, well, he gives a nice Hagdara. He says Hagdara is that as long as the pieces are big enough that you could tell it's separate pieces, and it doesn't look like it's one big chunk, like a tuna salad or egg salad. It looks like it's one solid piece. You could tell that it's separate pieces. So then it's not, there's no usur lush. So that's the definition. So you have a bunch of peanuts and you have a bunch of peanuts and almonds, even though it's stuck together by honey, but you could clearly see that it's all separate pieces which just happen to be stuck together. So also potato salad. Yeah, they're making a potato salad. So you have large pieces, even though they're sticking to each other, but it's large pieces. You can tell that it's not one gush. So that will be okay. And the next shayla that comes up is what about mashing foods on Shabbos? So you're not adding in liquids, fruits, or let's say potatoes. You want to mash them on Shabbos, and so you have, or a banana. Yeah, banana. You're mashing with its own juice. Is there issue?
You want
of
to
lush?
give a baby a banana. You can give him a piece.
Yeah. So to mash up a banana, is that okay? Is there issue of lush? So it has its own juice. So. The Til of David is mechalik. It depends. He says if you have one fruit and you're mashing it together, so it's fine because the chatchila is one solid piece, and then it's also one solid piece.
It's just smaller pieces.
It's not smaller pieces. It's just so you mash a banana. Before it was one banana, now it's also one banana. But just it's a mush.
Okay.
Made a mush out of it. He says, but if it's a bunch of smaller pieces, he talks about the example he gives is mustard seeds. But let's say. You mush all the mustard seeds and it becomes one solid gush. So you cause all these pieces to stick to each other and become one solid gush. So even though you didn't add liquid, so it would still be an issue.
How about avocado? Take an avocado and smash it.
So also you have one avocado, so you mush it and you mush it up. So the chatchil is one piece and the weiter one piece. So that's not an issue of lush. It's not an issue of lush, and he's making that it's not considered teichen grinding either. And so Til David is number 7. So the Bach has first he brings Bach as a shitta that mashing foods without adding water there's issue of lush. So in the end of the first line in 11 he says Afi mashe kasati bekan sivkat and chaf aleph Yishrayim fureshes the divrei Bach. You have a rye for the Bach that is shaykh lush, even though you don't add liquids to the fruits. Mihader chadal shalosh miyav Shabbos. And the Gemara talks about the case of mashing chadals. Over there, it's talking about without liquid, and it says you have to do it before Shabbos. So you see, move forward, Alisha Surah Shabbos, even though you didn't add liquid. And then he says, "Ve'esha hayah lechalik kivan demlachas halash hu lasis megufim nifradim guf echad." Since lash is that you make a bunch of separate pieces one piece. That's why when you're mashing and crushing a bunch of smaller pieces together, there's an Isra Rosh called Gargel Chardel who bifnei asmi, because each mustard seed was a separate piece, and you cause it to become one gush. But if you're just crushing one solid piece, after the aim mishum lishon, it's in gadol. Yeah, he ends up with the tzarech.
The Maisa saw that people are mashing avocado or banana for baby in Shabbos.
Yeah, so the Chazan Ish is machmir. He's machmir mitzad teichin. He says the issue of teichin, you're grinding it, you're crushing it into small pieces. But whatever, I'm saying, Yigash Moshe argues with him, and Ksei Shulchan also says that it's beseder.
So people on Shabbos are giving a baby banana.
Yeah, so
They
that's
take a fork and they smash it and give him banana.
yeah, so I'm saying, yeah, so my major finds things with Taknik on the Chazan Ish. And you also see Chaim Noah doesn't hold like him. Chaim Noah in the 12th line of Mocking, he's talking about the shayla of the banana, number 12. He writes, "V'hine bizmaninu noegin laseis meichel lektanim mipri hanikra bananas shememachin oisem mekaf va'achar kach seichtin alei mitz tapuchi zav mitz anovim." Yeah, they would pour tapuchi zav. That's apple juice. Orange juice. Orange juice.
And grape juice.
Yeah, or grape juice. Some arvin oisin yachad bli kasha, and it ends up being a thick mixture. So is this okay on Shabbos? So he says the chayre yesh lahater over Shabbos. You want to say the chayre is okay? First of all, he says that. First, he says there's no issue just mashing the banana by itself. There's no issue of teichen, because it's just one solid gush and it's like one solid gush. And he says v'gam kiru she'in haprim misrasik lepirurim kamei shum v'shachlayin. Also, since it doesn't break up into small little pieces like garlic, ela shemisrachech like the amiyuch, it only gets softened. Then ishar gush echad, it remains one solid piece. Moch, v'loi have teichen. It's not considered teichen crushing. Yadam l'klorisuk tapuchi adama she'im v'loi teichen v'loi lush. It's like mashing a cooked potato on chops. So there's no sortation. No teichen is no lush.
I mean, you play chant
Yeah.
and you go ahead and smash
It's a sofi. It's l'chadchil is one gush. In the end, it's one gush. You're not connecting things to each other. You're just mashing it. So he says that's fine. So what about when you add the liquid? So they would mash the banana and then they would add a liquid into it.
either the apple juice or the grape juice.
Yeah. So the shayla is usually what does adding the liquid do? Usually adding the liquid makes the pieces stick to each other. Usually by lush. Why do you add the liquid? To make it stick together.
Well, here's the opposite.
Here's the opposite. It's already stuck together, and you're adding in the liquid, and you're just softening it. You're not the liquid. The liquid you're adding is not making it stick together any better. So it's not considered lush. So first he wants to say, first he says it's not lush since you're not causing it to stick together anymore. But and then he says you should be machmir and do it with a shinui. So he says you should be machmir.
And that put the fruit in there.
Yeah.
That would be the shinui.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever you usually do.
Change the order and mix it with the shinui.
Put the juices first and then put the fruit in there.
Yeah. And this is in the second paragraph. It says, "Mishum Israel lisha aydei tarivus hamitz ibah bananas gam kin yesh lahatim." So adding and mixing the juice and the chaydik also be mekel. Kim bananas hey in gush echod, since it's one gush. V'aydei tarivus hamashkel nasa pulas lisha she's chavu v'yistapu yachtav. He didn't cause that it should get stuck to each other anymore. Kim shekvar mechuber v'imir was already stuck to each other beforehand. El shenas rachi she only made it softer. So in zeh mishum lisha. The light dummy, the shum sheriskoi, the oslas of mashkin. You can't compare it to garlic, that crushed garlic, which the Yerushalmi says that you're not allowed to pour. This is milach of lush if you pour liquid onto the crushed garlic. This is of lush. Why he says shum like any gush echon, because when you crush a garlic, it's not one gush. It becomes a bunch of separate pieces.
But if you slice the garlic, then it's not a problem. Slicing it, it's not a problem as long as it's not very fine.
You would have an issue, if it's not teichen.
If you slice the garlic in regular pieces without crushing and slicing are two different processes.
If you slice it very thin, you also have the issue of teichen.
Slice it out regular slice.
Normal.
A thin was probably, they mean that it should be like flour. That's thin, dudes.
thin like flour.
There is a tool that you put the garlic and then you squish together.
Crush.
That's Shabbos, that's crushing it.
That's crushing it.
Not allowed.
So that's for sure not allowed.
Not allowed, that's
Yeah,
crushing it.
that's
But
safe.
they take a knife and cut small pieces. That's allowed though. It's like a cucumber that you take
Yeah.
small pieces.
Thin pieces, I think that might also be issue of safe. And I think. Say how?
You make a salad, you want to put garlic inside. It just takes small pieces.
The shaila, it's not so clear how small, how thin is thin. The Mishnah already brings down from the Yereim.
The measurement of
How thin? Already run of the Rishonim, the Yashem Yimitz, the Yereim says we're not sure how thin is thin.
whatever you do usually in the middle of the week, you do a little bit.
Yes, ask it up. He said do a little bit bigger, do it the regular. So it's not so clear exactly what is.
You could see that this Shabbos, this salad made in Shabbos because it's bigger pieces.
Yeah, it's not so clear exactly how thin is thin. So like he says first he says the chid is not. He said the chid pasha is no isra of lush. He says but still he says you should be machmir. You should do it with a shinui. Still make it with a shinui. So right. So in the end I made a sikkum. So what's mutar lechatchila? So mutar lechatchila there are two ways. So if you wanna, first of all, if you have blil larako, if it's a soft, 3 to 9, it's a blil larako, something that spills. You could like honey. And then second of all, you did a shini b'seidah and sinas hamashkin. You did a shini in the order you poured it in. And again, and third thing is shini b'hagibel. You mix it in a usual manner. And this I didn't mention before. The second, what if you want to do a thick batter? So you don't really have a good eitzah, but the only way to do that it's good lechatchila is first of all you pour the water in before Shabbos. You pour it in the water before Shabbos, and I did add another tanai. It has to be lavar gibel. It should be something. It should be lavar gibel and isa gibel v'shinui, and you mix it in the unusual manner. This is that's if you want to. So usually it's not so practical, right? I'm saying it's not so helpful. If you need to pour in liquid before Shabbos, you could mix it. You can mix it before Shabbos also. So it's not such a practical. It's not such a practical eitzah. And so b'shas hadchak and makin seirich, if you weren't able to make the thick batter before Shabbos, so you could be makel even with a thick batter, as long as you meet these 3 tonight. A thick batter you can make even if, first of all, it's lavar gibel. The pieces don't dissolve. It's not like a flour that the particles dissolve and cling to each other to form one solid mass. It's like, for example, tuna or eggs that they remain separate pieces. Second of all, you did a shinui in a seder and a sinas hamashkin. And third, and also you did a shinui in the gibel in the way you mix it. And then there's and then the case that is also holidays and you can't, and is that I say can't be makel is that if it's a thick batter and all you do is you pour in the water and it already clings to itself on its own.
Which machal did you put something in became wine? Which machal did you put something in became wine?
So I'll tell you 2 examples of sesame seeds and flax seeds.
If you have a bucket with sesame seeds and put a little bit of water, it became wine. After the nothing.
I never tested it out, but. I don't know. I never tried it, but that's what it says. You know what they have? They have these. What will work by? They have these little seeds, chia seeds. No, you pour
the black one. Like
yeah, little seeds. You pour in the water and they expand and they stick to each other.
And made for healthy.
It's supposed to be healthy. You drink it before a fast or something. You pour it in the water, it expands. So those you pour it into the water, it becomes one bush. Maybe, I haven't experimented too much with these things. Not sure.
Very interesting.
Yes, that's the law of lush.